Like and subscribe right now, or this spider will crawl on your face while you're sleeping.
Fear of sharks continues to play a prominent role in the human psyche, but despite their portrayal in popular culture as mindless murder machines, your chances of being attacked by a shark while swimming or diving are infinitesimally small. In 2020, there were 57 confirmed shark attacks, which was lower than the recent 5-year average of 80 annual incidents. Out of the nearly 490 different shark species, 3 are responsible for nearly all fatalities: the great white shark, the tiger shark, and the bull shark. And keep in mind that humans are responsible for the deaths of up to 100 million sharks per year, slaughtered mainly for their fins. There are, however, several notorious shark attacks within our collective memories, starting with one that occurred in 1749. Here follow 10 of the most famous unprovoked shark attacks in history. Number 10. Brooke Watson, a painting by renowned American-born portrait artist John Singleton Copley called Watson and the Shark, depicts a boy trying to escape from the water as a huge shark closes in with its mouth open. Copley based his painting on an actual shark attack that took place in 1749. Brooke Watson, a 14-year-old crew member on a British merchant ship, was swimming in the harbor of Havana, Cuba, when a shark attacked him. After being attacked twice, his shipmates finally managed to pull him from the water. They also managed to save his life. However, Watson had to have his leg amputated below the knee. He became the first known shark attack survivor, and despite his disability, managed to become the Lord Mayor of London. Number 9. Barry Wilson. On December 7th, 1952, 17-year-old Barry Wilson was swimming with a friend around 40 feet or 12 meters offshore near Lovers Point at Pacific Grove in Monterey County, California. Wilson and his friend, 15-year-old Bruckner Brady Jr., were in about 30 feet or 9 meters of murky water when Wilson's body suddenly jerked side to side in an unnatural fashion and he began to scream. The many witnesses to the incident reported seeing a shark conducting a full frontal attack on Wilson, lifting him from the water to his knees and then dragging him under. 5 people came to his rescue and managed to get Wilson onto an inner tube. They made for shore while the shark followed them the whole way. It took them 30 minutes to get back to the beach because of the rough surf, but it was too late, as Wilson succumbed to his injuries due to blood loss. Number 8. Randall Fry. Randall Fry was freediving with his friend Cliff Zimmerman, hunting for abalone on the Mendocino coast just north of Fort Bragg, when a huge shark attacked Fry. According to Zimmerman, they were diving in about 15 feet or 4.5 meters of water, about 150 feet or 46 meters from the shore, when Fry disappeared from the surface and never came up. Zimmerman recalls he felt the water move as if a submarine had gone by and heard a whooshing sound. He saw a fin and part of the shark's body surface at lightning speed before it disappeared into the water again. After seeing the water turn red with blood, Zimmerman made a beeline for the pair's fishing boat nearby and managed to get to safety. The Coast Guard launched a search and recovery team and found Fry's body with huge bite marks across his shoulders, indicating that the shark was a great white. Gruesomely, Fry's head had been severed from his body and was recovered 3 weeks after the attack by a beachcomber near Fort Bragg. Number 7. Rodney Fox. South Australian filmmaker and conservationist Rodney Fox had mortal combat with the great white shark and lived to tell the tale. During an Australian spearfishing competition on December 8, 1963, a great white bit Fox in the middle of his body and took him for a ride. As the two were flying through the water, Fox tried to gouge out the shark's eyes. The shark released him only to turn around and launch a second attack. This time, Fox stuck his hand in the shark's mouth and throat, forcing it to release again. After a third skirmish, Fox was pulled into a boat and rushed to the hospital. He was badly injured. His hand and arm were bitten down to the bone and his abdominal area was shredded. The fact that his rescuers kept his wetsuit on probably saved his life by keeping his insides compressed and not spilling out. Fox survived the ordeal as none of his main arteries had been severed, and 462 stitches later he was on the mend. He went on to establish one of the world's most famous great white shark diving operations in South Australia. Number 6. Omar Conger. Omar Conger is another freediving abalone hunter who was attacked by a shark off the coast of California. The story goes that Conga and his diving partner Chris Rem were diving about 500 feet or 150 meters offshore at Pigeon Point between Half Moon Bay and Santa Cruz when a shark came out of nowhere, grabbed Conga and pulled him under. Rem recalls then how the shark charged him with Conga in its jaws, only to release Conga as it drew alongside him. The shark then disappeared. A terrified Rem managed to pull his friend onto a floating mat and made for shore, although Conga unfortunately succumbed to massive blood loss. The size of the wounds seemed to indicate that the attack came from a great white at least 16 feet or 5 meters long. Along that section of California coast, 3 more shark attacks were recorded over the next 2 weeks. Fortunately, all of the victims survived, but it's unknown if the same shark or different ones were responsible. Number 5. Robert Pamperin. Robert Pamperin and his diving partner Gerald Larare were also freediving for abalone off the coast of San Diego, California in 1959 when tragedy struck. Larare recalls them swimming about 9 meters or 30 feet apart in 40 feet or 12 meters of water when he heard Pamperin shout for help. When he turned to look, he saw Pamperin with his mask off, upright in the water and trapped in the jaws of a huge shark. Underwater, Larare could see Pamperin trapped in the shark's mouth before he was pulled to the sea floor. Larare dove down to try and scare the shark, a great white measuring around 20 feet or 7 meters long, but to no avail. Divers searched the area for signs of Pamperin, but all they found was a single swim fin. About a year later, 3 geologists from the Scripps Institution of Oceanography found a skeleton that matched Pamperin's profile around 2,000 feet or 600 meters offshore. Number 4. Henry Bors. Here is another survivor of a shark attack, and incredibly, he and his companions managed to get some live footage of the incident as it was unfolding. Henry Bors was on a diving expedition in 1964 off Lady Julia Percy Island in Victoria, Australia. He and 2 friends were freediving, filming a bull seal, when all the seals suddenly disappeared. In a split second, Bors was attacked by a great white. The shark came up from below as Bors surfaced and managed to bite his leg off at the knee. His dive partners recall how they heard Bors scream and then saw his leg floating in the water. They managed to get Bors, who was obviously losing a lot of blood, back on the boat. The crew radioed ahead with his blood type and Bors was lucky enough to survive the ordeal. Amazingly, Bors filmed some of the attack and was back in the water just weeks later. In 1969, he went on to retell his story, including some of that original footage in the documentary film Savage Shadows. Number 3. Bethany Hamilton. Bethany Hamilton should get a medal for bravery, and in the end she did win one, for surfing. Bethany Hamilton was just 13 years old and Hawaii's top female surfer in her age group when she made headlines in 2003 after being attacked by a 14-foot tiger shark. She recalls going surfing on the morning of Halloween with her best friend Alana, her brother Byron, and Alana's father Holt when a shark came up from below and bit her arm off just below the shoulder. Her surfing partners came to her aid and tied a tourniquet to her arm with a surf leash, put her on her board and paddled to shore where they awaited rescue services. She made a remarkable recovery despite losing 60% of her blood. After the attack, Hamilton was back in the water a month later and went on to win a national surf championship. She has since remained a well-known surfer and advocate for shark conservation. Number 2. The Jersey Shore attacks of 1916. In 1916, the New Jersey coastline was plagued by a spate of horrific shark attacks. Over the course of 5 days, 5 people were attacked, with 4 of the attacks proving fatal. The Jersey Shore shark attacks are famous for another reason. They were the inspiration for the blockbuster horror book and film Jaws. The first attack was on 25-year-old Charles Vazant, who went for a swim before dinner only to have his legs mauled by a great white. The damage to his legs was so massive that he bled to death. 6 days later, a similar attack took place 28 miles or 45 kilometers further up the New Jersey coastline, which left swimmer Charles Bruder also succumbing to blood loss. 6 days later and a bit further north, 11-year-old Lester Stillwell was pulled underwater in a creek miles away from the ocean by a bull shark. While trying to recover the body of Lester, 24-year-old Stanley Fisher was bitten on the thigh and bled to death. The fifth attack took place a half hour later as the shark was making its way back to the ocean. 12-year-old Joseph Dunn was attacked, and although he suffered extreme bites, he was the only one who survived the notorious Jersey Shore shark attacks. Number 1. The USS Indianapolis. War is a nasty business, but hungry sharks don't take sides, and what happened near Guam on July 30th, 1945 is a sailor's worst nightmare. After being sunk by Japanese torpedoes, the US Navy cruiser USS Indianapolis managed to evacuate nearly 900 of its 1,196-man crew. Jumping into the ocean, the sailors were hoping for a quick rescue, but the Navy didn't learn of the sinking until 4 days later. In the meantime, the sailors faced exposure, dehydration, saltwater poisoning, and repeated attacks by sharks, likely organic white tips, on a feeding frenzy. Needless to say, they were pretty helpless against the sharks. After being spotted by a bomber flying overhead, a rescue mission was launched to save the sailors. Only 316 of the nearly 900 men set adrift in the water survived, making it the worst naval disaster in US history. They say that most shark attacks on humans are a case of mistaken identity or just curiosity. But that as it may, great whites and indeed all sharks are nothing to trifle with. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and subscribe to our channel. Click the notification bell for updates on our latest marine videos and stay curious.